Coming to the types of disinfection. As we have already discussed, we have concurrent disinfection and terminal disinfection. Concurrent disinfection is as soon as possible after the discharge of the infectious material from the body. So that is concurrent. So you have infection and you have disinfection. Terminal disinfection, on the other hand, after the death of the patient, or he ceases to be a source of infection. So everything is over, the patient is dead, and then you disinfect. That is a terminal disinfection. Precurrent or prophylactic disinfection. This is a peculiar type of disinfection where we disinfect even before infection has happened. The examples are pasteurization of milk, hand washing, and disinfection of water by chlorine. So these are examples of precurrent disinfection wherein we disinfect even before the infection has started. Recommended disinfection procedures. For feces and urine, bleaching powder 5% can be used, crude phenol 10% can be used, cresol 5% or formalin 10%. So these are the disinfecting agents which can be used for feces and urine. You can have burial, or for bedpans and urinals you have to do steam disinfection. Sputum, very important, is lot of times asked with tuberculosis. Sputum is disinfected by coughing into paper handkerchiefs and either burning those paper handkerchiefs or directly collecting the sputum into a cresol cup. A cresol cup is nothing but a cup with some cresol. So collecting the cuff into the cresol cup or collecting it on a paper handkerchief and then burning the paper handkerchief. So this is how we disinfect sputum. Remember, because tuberculosis has cough, has sputum, this really acquires importance. Coming to the disinfection of the rooms, chlorinated lime can be used, phenolic disinfectants, and formaldehyde gas. The most commonly used method is the formaldehyde gas. Formaldehyde gas, as you know, is used for fumigation of the operation theatres. You have to keep the bucket exposing formaldehyde gas in the operation theatre and you lock all the operation theatres, the doors and windows. Afterwards you open, the room is fumigated. So that is the most common method of disinfection of rooms, fumigation. Coming to the mosquito control measures. Mosquito control measures we had very briefly discussed earlier. This is the long and the complete list of mosquito control measures. As you know, mosquitoes cause a lot of disease, so these measures are common to all those diseases. What we have here is basically three things. We have anti-larval measures, we have anti-adult measures, and we have protection against mosquito bites. So these are the three prongs or three approaches against mosquitoes that we have. Under anti-larval measures, the first thing we can do is environmental control, which is filling up cesspools, closing ditches, not having open water, uprooting plants which are growing in water. So these are some of the things that you can do. Emptying coconut shells, another example. Chemical control and biological control. Biological control is fish and other pathogens which infect mosquitoes. We'll be seeing this in detail later. Anti-adult measures, you have residual sprays, space sprays, and genetic control. Residual spray is the spray which you have to put on your walls. The mosquito goes and sits and the mosquito dies. That is a residual spray. Space spray is what you commercially purchase from the market. You spray it in the air and the mosquito comes in contact with it and it dies. That is a space spray. You have one more spray here, ultra low volume fogging. That is, as we discussed, was done in the areas wherein you fog the whole area and the mosquito population suddenly comes down. You have a method called as genetic control. Protection against bites, you have mosquito nets. All of us have used that at some point or the other. You can have screening of buildings, which is meant by applying iron or plastic mesh to the windows so that mosquitoes don't come in, and the use of repellents. One of the best repellents we have seen was DEET, diethyl toluamide. Coming to the chemical control. Commonly used larvicides are mineral oil, example, diesel oil, fuel oil, kerosene, for that matter any crude oil can be used as a larvicide. Now here it is something to note how this oil works. The larvae are usually something like this, a rough diagram, and what we do is we put the oil above this. Obviously, you know, oil floats on water and therefore the oxygen supply to the larva is cut. Since the oxygen supply to the larva is cut, the larva automatically dies. This is the mechanism of action of the mineral oils. Paris green is the common name, the scientific name is copper aceto-arsenite. Paris green is a stomach poison which is also used as a larvicide. It is ingested by the larva and mainly the Anopheles larvae do that and therefore they die. Paris green was one of the most popular insecticides we had until DDT came and stole the show. Since DDT came, it is a one-man army. So DDT has been frequently used and widely used. Very recently there has been a drop in the use of DDT because of increasing concerns of the side effects and cumulative toxicities of DDT. Cumulative toxicities means it goes on collecting in the environment and the levels slowly but surely begin to rise. So because of these concerns, DDT use is showing a bit of decline, but yes, DDT has been a anchoring disinfectant for us and saved millions of lives. So before that, but Paris green was used. Sometimes Paris green is still used. Synthetic insecticides, the newer group, you have phenthyon, chlorpyrifos and Abate. Out of these, Abate is very frequently used these days. DDT, this compound is not recommended for larviciding operations because of their long residual effect, water contamination and increased risk of developing resistance in the vector mosquitoes. So like I told you, DDT is going down, but it was a very mainstay, still remains important and you could still expect questions on DDT. Coming to the biological control. Biological control, as I told you, if I have an enemy, I find the enemy of my enemy and he becomes my friend. So enemy of my enemy is my friend. That is biological control. Wide range of small fish feed readily on mosquito larvae. They feast on these larvae, and one such fish is Gambusia affinis. There is Lebister reticulatus, and there are a couple of other fish. Locally, Gambusia affinis is known as Guppy Masse. So if you go to your PHC and you ask for Guppy Masse, maybe if they have Guppy Masse, they'll give you in a polythene, and that polythene is to be emptied into your well or whatever tank you have, and the fish will eat the larva, and therefore since there is no larva, there will be no mosquito and you will have an automatic control of disease. What you need to know is these names. Gambusia affinis, which is a name for Guppy Masse, you can have the local name also, and the other one is Lebister reticulatus. Anti-adult measures. You have, as I said, residual sprays. Adult mosquitoes are mostly controlled by spraying houses with residual insecticides such as DDT. What you see here is a table, toxicants, dosages and average duration of effectiveness. DDT dosage is 1 to 2 gram per square meter and average duration of effectiveness is about 6 to 12 months. So that is a very long duration. If you see, compare it with others, linden, malathion and OMS are only 3 months, whereas DDT is about 12 months and frequently it lasts for about 18 months. It lasts less if you spray it on a mud wall because mud absorbs DDT as it is and therefore the duration of action goes down. Otherwise, in a well plastered wall, DDT can last as long as 12 to 18 months. So DDT has the longest period of action. The dosage of DDT is important. It is 1 to 2 grams per square meter to be applied. Linden is very effective and therefore 0.5 grams per square meter. Malathion is 2 grams per square meter and the duration of action for both of them, it would last for about 3 months. Space sprays. Common space sprays are pyrethrum extracts. This is interesting because pyrethrum is a natural product. Pyrethrum is a natural product. Pyrethrum is not one of those organophosphorus compounds that you have, tabun, sarin, not that category. Pyrethrum is a natural product which has got an excellent anti-mosquito activity. And pyrethrum extract is the chemical name out of which a lot of pyrethrum compounds are made and used as space sprays. For domestic purpose, handgun with fine nozzle is used, but for application on a large scale, powder sprays or aerosol dispenser are needed. We saw that space fogging, ultra low volume fogging, that is the example here. Other examples are malathion and phenethrothion for ultra low volume fogging. Protection against mosquito bites. Common sense. Common sense tells me wear full sleeve clothes, wear full trousers, and the color of the clothes should be ideally white, because white is not so much attractive to mosquitoes. Black colored clothes, mosquitoes get attracted. So white full sleeves clothes are better for protection. Use of mosquito nets. The best pattern is a rectangular net. The size should not exceed 0.0475 inches in any diameter. Screening, as I told you, screening of buildings with copper or bronze gauze, very costly. We use plastic meshes for that. Having 16 meshes to an inch is recommended. This number you could remember, 16 meshes to an inch is recommended, so that the mosquitoes don't come inside. Then you have repellents, which we saw was DEET, diethyl toluamide, has been found to be an excellent all-purpose repellent. Not only repels mosquitoes but a couple of other insects, and it is very good. The duration of action is also very long. The next day if you bath, for those who bath, DEET goes away. For those who don't bath, the action is too long. So almost it's like a day's protection is given by a DEET. Mosquito breeding habits. You have important points put on your slide so that you don't have to jump through a lot of data. Mosquitoes species on the left and breeding habits on the right. Anopheles, which is also called as a sophisticated mosquito, because it likes to breed on clean water. So it does not like dirt, it does not like dirty places. It is a sophisticated mosquito, Anopheles, and therefore it breeds in clean water. Culex mosquito, on the other hand, is called as a nuisance mosquito. A couple of interesting things about Culex mosquito. It is called as a nuisance mosquito, and it breeds in dirty water. Everything about Culex is dirty. It breeds in dirty water. It is called as a nuisance mosquito because female Culex mosquitoes are fearless biters. They don't worry for their lives, they simply bite you. Some time or the other, you remember you had a very nasty mosquito, you tried to hit him, you could not, and he came back again and again. And he literally irritated you. That mosquito most probably was Culex. So female Culex are fearless biters. They are called as nuisance mosquitoes. They breed in dirty water, and they are the mosquitoes with the strongest of wings. Culex mosquitoes, remember, go farthest from the place of origin, a dirty thing, because they can spread disease to great distances, breed in dirty waters, and are fearless biters. Therefore, they are called as nuisance mosquitoes. Coming to the Aedes. Aedes we already saw. Aedes aegypti and the whole Aedes species are called as tiger mosquitoes. Although they would have also be called as zebra mosquitoes because they are black and white, but nonetheless they are called as tiger mosquitoes because if you see them closely, they have these white and black patches on their body and they have alternating bands. So that mosquito with an alternating band is an Aedes female biting you. Aedes breeds in artificial collection of waters. So Aedes for artificial. Anopheles is sophisticated, it likes clean water, and we saw everything about Culex was dirty. Culex most powerful and most irritating. Mansonia is not a very big deal in India, but it has got a very peculiar breeding place and therefore it is very easy to remember. It only breeds on these aquatic plants, especially Pistia. Pistia is an aquatic plant, so it floats on water. The leaves of Pistia float on water and that is where the Mansonia breeds. So Mansonia is pretty special. You remember it as it is. Mansonia breeds on Pistia plants. Anopheles is a sophisticated mosquito and therefore it breeds on clean water. Everything about Culex was dirty and therefore it breeds on dirty water. The third one, Aedes, is a tiger mosquito and it breeds on artificial collection of water. Coming to the next slide, the mosquitoes and the diseases they cause. You have Anopheles, which causes malaria. That is very well known because we have studied malaria in detail. You have Culex, which causes a couple of diseases such as Bancroftian filariasis and Japanese encephalitis. You have Aedes. Aedes causes dangerous diseases. Aedes is the tiger mosquito. The tiger mosquito causes mighty diseases, causes dengue, chikungunya and yellow fever. Diseases you should be scared of are caused by Aedes. Mansonia causes Bruggen and Bancroftian filariasis and it can also cause chikungunya. If you have recently heard about chikungunya, it was widely prevalent maybe questions, have been coming and they are expected to come. So when you go to the exams, have a read about chikungunya also. So Mansonia and Aedes can cause chikungunya. Aedes can cause a couple of serious diseases, Culex, filariasis and Japanese encephalitis, and of course Anopheles causes malaria. So these are the mosquitoes and the diseases they cause. Control of these mosquitoes by species. For Culex mosquito, abolition of domestic and peri-domestic source of breeding such as cesspools and open ditches. For Aedes, you have the environment should be cleaned up and got rid of water holding containers such as discarded tins, empty pots, broken bottles and other similar artificial collections of water. We saw that Aedes was breeding in artificial collections, so that should be gotten rid of. For Anopheles, engineering measures such as filling and drainage are to be done. This was the sophisticated mosquito. For Monsonia mosquitoes, the aquatic plants, if they are uprooted, this mosquito has got no place to breed. So if you deweed water bodies, Monsonia control automatically takes place. Coming to the last end of the chapter, we will be just saying some important points about an insecticide which has saved millions of lives. So we'll pay some respect to it, and that is DDT, dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane, DDT. It is a white amorphous powder. It dissolves mostly in organic solvents, does not dissolve in water. Technical DDT contains 70 to 80% of para-para isomer. This can be asked. Technical DDT contains 70 to 80% of para-para isomer. I remember it as para-para isomer, makes sense to me, which is most active fraction of the DDT. So that isomer is the most active form. Action: DDT is a contact poison. Contact poison means, remember Paris green? Paris green was a stomach poison. So unless and until you consume Paris green, if you even bath in Paris green, nothing is going to happen. But DDT is a contact poison. If you touch contact poisons, they act. Of course not humans, but if insects touch contact poisons, they start acting. What happens is, DDT, as you know, does not dissolve in water but dissolves in solvents, and the skin of these insects is waxy. So when they land, DDT gets dissolved in their waxy cuticles, gets absorbed, acts and slowly kills them. DDT is a very slow killer. They have a very slow death. DDT acts as a contact poison, affects the nervous system of the insects and they die. Residual action of DDT, as I mentioned, very long. On proper surface is 18 months, but for practical purposes, let us take that as 12 months. Application: you apply it as a residual spray, 100 to 200 milligram per square foot area. As a dust, DDT is used in 5 to 10% strength for the control of lice, flea, ticks and bugs. Like I told you, DDT was used for a lot of other things also. So lice, fleas, ticks and bugs, DDT works against all of them. In aerosol or space sprays, DDT is one of the main constituents you can find. Again, this has been a sheet anchor of disinfection. Like chlorine is a sheet anchor of disinfection in water, DDT has been for these insecticides. The last one we are going to see is Abate. Again, why Abate out of the whole big list? Because Abate is the new hero. Abate has retired the old hero DDT, and we think that Abate might be the next newcomer who is going to be a blockbuster. We see that Abate has got excellent toxicities against these insects or mosquitoes we are worried about, but it is relatively safe for humans. No side effects, no major side effects at least, and therefore many municipalities in India are slowly increasing the use of Abate, and therefore Abate makes on our list. Abate, also called as Stemephos, is an organophosphorus compound. It is a brown viscous liquid which is soluble in petroleum solvents. It has got low toxicity and now has been extensively used in India for the control of Anopheles stephensi in wells as well as in domestic water. The dose of Abate is very less. It should be used in doses less than 1 ppm. Again, 1 ppm means 1 milligram per liter. Remember, ppm and milligram per liter are one and the same thing. So when I say dosage of Abate is less than 1 ppm, in other words, I am saying it is less than 1 gram per liter. So that is Abate for you. With that, we conclude the huge chapter of environment and health. I hope this lecture will go a long way in clearing your doubts and in helping you solve the questions based on this chapter. Again, remember to make notes, remember to take printouts of the important slides if you like, and study well. God bless. See you in the next class.